So, first question I had from reading your book was the idea and the context behind your book. So, when you wrote the myth of good AI, what question were you trying to answer? What idea were you trying to interrogate?
Yeah, very good starting question, Jeffrey. I mean, I see artificial intelligence as the biggest threat to humanity. It can also be an opportunity. So the book is not only about, the various threats that we are already facing, but also how we can leverage artificial intelligence to serve some of the purposes that you and I would find important, right? At the moment, the constellation of artificial intelligence is geared to dynamics that are not necessarily conducive for society. That's how I see it, right? It's a very hierarchical system. You have a bunch of tech giants with primarily male CEOs from a particular strata of society and a particular ethnic background as well, that are dominating the market, right? The market functions for particular purposes. Those purposes are not, again, what every individual that is using artificial intelligence necessarily identifies with their everyday life. Um, it's mostly the market is obviously determined by profit margins, by growth, and by expansion into our life. Okay, so this technology is all about expansion into our privacy. Okay, so I wanted to understand what that does to our everyday life. Okay, because we're all using artificial intelligence systems in some way or another. And also then the bigger question, what does a technology that presumably is not only mimicking our intelligence, but is getting better at intelligence than humans are, what does that do to our human existence in the future? So it's kind of bridging that huge space between our individual usage of artificial intelligence systems and the future of humanity. Well, I try to do
Easy.
that.
Yeah, and that's quite easy, right? I think first of brilliant report. That's such a great way to kind of summarize the book and summarize what we kind of have with AI currently and the issues that it presents. You are right. It is a very much extension level kind of problem because it kind of brings to kind of like fruition all the meaning of being human, and we'll kind of go into that and learn a little bit. But I love to keep things definitional at the beginning. So when you say good AI, let's try to like interrogate the title for a little bit. When you say good AI, what do you mean?
So that's the marketing that we're facing on a daily basis, right? The deluge of AI being salvation, being something that is incredibly good for us, that will resolve our issues within society. That is, we're compelled on an everyday basis to use AI systems more and more. The idea that it will, revolutionize medicine, psychology, labor, um, even politics, right? I mean, I've seen so many articles coming out these days about how chatbots in the future will be better than our politicians, how it will revolutionize even warfare, how it will humanize torture, right? I mean, that's one of the chapters in the book as well, as if that is ever possible. But there are a lot of articles about that, and increasingly also some colleagues working in that direction, trying to merge ideas from cultural studies with AI torture and trying to find out whether or not this can be in any way human. So there is this huge, and I see it as a marketing ploy, this huge idea out there peddled by the tech giants and government at times, that AI is amazing and that it will help us with pretty much everything we're doing. And I just see that as a way of selling a product, right? Within the realm of AI, several products, and it needs to be interrogated in order to see whether or not that's true first, and secondly, how we can extract the real good AI for us, right? How we would interpret what is good about artificial intelligence, because as it stands, that product is packaged somewhere else, right? We are receiving it, consuming it. We don't really know what is inside the packaging. It's kind of wrapped up pretty tightly. Okay. And so we keep unwrapping it. We keep unwrapping it. That's what maybe the book was just an unwrapping exercise more than anything else, right? But we still can't see it in the end, right? Because it keeps morphing into something else. So it's that weird present that you get that you don't really know where to put it. And so the unwrapping exercise, including this podcast, continues.
And that's I think you're so right when you mentioned about the fact that it's like a present you just trying to unwrap in order to understand, because it also feels like these technocrats are kind of making it a thing where they make it's too complicated for the normal people, and so they use that kind of as a way to kind of distance themselves from having to explain the reasons for some of the decisions. And by doing that, it kind of it mystifies it, where the people who the layman, let's say, it's easy for them to take on the idea this is good or this is bad, and there's no interrogation of what even those two these terms mean. So I think you are right. I think that's such an important thing you need to consider.
Absolutely. And again, this is also, I see it part of this nebulous, overarching ecosystem that was created in order to make. I mean, it's an opaque technology in and of itself. Okay, so the transmission belt from creation to product is entirely opaque with this technology. It's like going on ChatGPT when you have a dialogue with it. It changes um, all the time. Okay. And so, it's incredibly difficult to link the source with the end product. And I think this is conducive for various things. I mean, some of my friends in law and in the legal studies, they're trying to figure out where then legal accountability can come from with these AI systems, right? Do we treat it like a toaster? Do we treat it like a vacuum cleaner? Are these AI systems legally accountable, or is it the computer scientists that build in the algorithm? Is it the company? So all of these questions are unanswered. Okay, going back to the packaging of it all. That's one problem that needs to be resolved along the way, especially when you look at how AI systems are employed in warfare, right? Um, the accountability system, legal accountability system that we have currently, Geneva Convention and all of the kind of UN systems that are there, they do not account for AI warfare, which is increasingly the tendency in kind of international security studies even, but that's the future of warfare. So obviously we need to know who is accountable. And I think this opaqueness of AI systems is partially a great way of hiding who is accountable, right? And this is why we have this legal vacuum right now where so many things are happening. Abuse, people being goaded into taking their own lives by AI system. I mean, we had that. I mean, this is insanely tragic, right? And yet there is no accountability for any of that. Okay, and so this is the first time, essentially, again, where technology is being invented within a vacuum of law. Right now, is this coincidental? Is this something that is useful to extend as a period of time in order to have the full freedom of innovation, right? Um, we as individuals within society, I believe, need to know how we can contain this and what the legal systems that we have built over decades, how they can be used in order to contain the nefarious impact of AI systems, right? I think it's a legitimate question and it's a legitimate quest as well.
I completely agree. I think even the idea that, like you mentioned, that it's outside law and it's being used by that as a way to kind of like, expand innovation, allow these people to, kind of move innovation forward. That's an interesting point. But what I think is far more interesting and why the mass needs to come to terms with this kind of new invention is that I think AI is more than just a technical innovation, but also a philosophical one, where like it asks us these questions about what it means to be human and what it means to relate to each other, and in a world where everything is so interconnected, what that means to deal with a system which it connects everything, but is also a black box where we don't actually understand what we're connecting with.
Mm.
And I think the question I have for you is that when did you, if this is the case for you, when did you see it as more of a not just a technical interrogation, but also a philosophical, moral one, where you can like look at it from that perspective too?